So this is my backyard, coming in the gate here, greeted by my two puppy dogs, Ivory and Jasmine. Here we have a Turks cap, but it is a unique cultivar of Turks cap. Most of the Turks cap that grows in Austin will grow more woody and it will grow taller. This Turks cap has more slender stalks, and it tends to fall over as opposed to grow straight up. So it gets tall and then goes whoop. I prefer this version. This version was from my grandmother's garden. I got a bunch of seeds, and I think there were like, 15 plants here or something. So they definitely do well in this environment. They only get about 2 hours of sun a day, and they're in the bright sun right now. When the Turks cap go back to the ground, I have spiderwort. Spiderwort comes up and adds a nice ground cover during the winter, so that this area is green all but I'd say about 2 months out of the year it's green. Also playing in here with the Turks cap is tropical sage. I gotta be honest with you, I might pull the tropical sage up. I've been watching this bed all I'd say of about 4 months this year, and the hummingbirds come to the Turks cap before they go to the tropical sage. So it kind of lets me believe that they like the Turks cap better. I was wondering if maybe they bloom at different times, but the Turks cap blooms for like 4 months, and the tropical sage blooms for a couple of weeks and then turns off, then a couple more weeks and then turns off. So it's on and off, on and off, on and off. So I might do away with the Salvia Coccinea, the tropical sage, and keep the Turks cap. Also going to put some different border stones back here, kind of the same limestone I have up front. More about the garden. So this is a rare plant. It is called big red sage. It is a Salvia Pentstemonoides, and at one point this was thought to be extinct or near extinction. It was listed on the severely extinct list. Deer eat it. It's a native to Texas. I bought 3 of them and just propagate. I don't know, I've got at least 30 of them now. I've got I think 7 here, and then I've got at least, well, maybe not 30, maybe 25. I've got 19 to 20 of them in Houston. So I've got quite a few of them regardless. And what's cool about this plant is it looks like a penstemon, it looks like a penstemon, but it's actually a salvia, hence the name Salvia Pentstemonoides. What else is cool about this plant? A lot of these plants are good for like 1 butterfly or like 2 butterflies will like that plant. This is a unique plant in that all butterflies like this plant. There's a classification of plants that I can't remember what they're called, but all butterflies will use this plant for food. So very interesting. Another reason to have it as part of a butterfly garden. Behind that is this guy here is Texas star hibiscus. There's no blooms on it right now. It has been blooming big all week, but the blooms are usually the size of a pie plate. I mean, in this camera they'd be this big. They're huge blooms as opposed to these, which are like dots, right? And nice big red blooms, but none right now. I have this plant in a pond, and I also have this plant in the ground, just to give you an idea of how versatile it is. This plant is half submerged in water in the pond, blooms a lot more, I'll tell you that, grows a lot quicker in the water. But right here it's very drought tolerant, extremely drought tolerant. You can see those big leaves on the ground. That is sweet potatoes. These are my sweet potatoes right here. I've got, I don't know, between 4 and 6 in here right now. And the sweet potatoes are part of my ground cover. So anywhere that the Greg's Mistflower hasn't covered, the sweet potatoes go. The sweet potatoes are welcome to roam back here, and they use the Texas star hibiscus as scaffolding. And so yeah, I get quite a few sweet potatoes at the end of the year. These plants here, there's 4 of them. There were 5, but 1 died. These 4 plants here are Sabal minor. And the Sabal minor is a spineless palm native to Texas, native to Palmetto State Park. I like them when they get nice and big and they're all grouped together. So coming over here towards the back of the Sabal Minors and the Texas Star Hibiscus. This is a Egyptian walking onion. This used to be big. There were like a whole bunch coming out of the ground. My dogs have trampled it, which is the reason I've surrounded it by rocks. These guys were getting to the point where they chase each other all the time, and they cut this corner a lot, and they cut up that onion so bad. So here's hoping the onion will make it. This is lava rock from Hawaii. My grandfather got this when he was in Hawaii in the military, brought it home, and I brought it here. I think I'm going to take it back to Houston. We're going to put in Texas limestone here. And these are my hydroponic boxes. They're called earth boxes, and a lot of well-known gardeners have called these the perfect growing system. This is 2 cubic feet of soil, and there's a little drain hole down there, and you fill it here. You can see I have a little irrigation tube that fills it here, and it drains out there. And this one is turned off right now. The hydroponics are turned off to this because I'm letting the soil rest. But normally these are filled with plants. This year I decided to let all the soil rest. I noticed I've got nematodes, and yeah, so I'm going to have to do a whole change out with the soil. Man, I cannot forget what this plant is called. A lot of people consider it a weed, but it's edible. And it grew in this box all by itself. This soil is off. I don't even have any water going into this soil. I'm not even helping it along. It's growing native, so this is food. So I would gladly keep that just as an emergency plan if anything happens. This is food too. These leaves, these sweet potato leaves are edible. You'd really only want to eat the small ones because they get kind of leathery. But the sweet potato leaves, they are edible too. Another hydroponic box that's just kind of growing, what am I talking about? Resting. And this is kind of where everything comes together right here. Blends into the Greg's Mistflower and hides the drain. Before I put this drain in, all the water would come in here, flow over here, and take all my mulch and everything down the yard, down this way. So I put this drain in. This is a huge drain, way more than what I needed, probably twice what I needed. But this drain here will let the water get down enough that it doesn't come over here. Just super nice. Amaryllis, big long leaves of amaryllis are coming up here. And you know, the amaryllis really show off when most of this stuff is dormant. So the Greg's Mistflower will probably have been nipped by a frost, and the sweet potatoes will be harvested. And so these are kind of all by themselves, and then they kind of produce best that way. So this is just a way to increase my garden space here, really. If you look at these pots here, 7 pots here, it just increased garden space. You got mint here. This was a plant that my wife was given, so just planted it there. Silver pony's foot. I'm growing this for hanging baskets. I had a nice big one last year, but it died in the freeze, so I'm just kind of trying to let these get big, and I'm going to divide them up and put them in some hanging baskets in Houston. These guys here are replacements for natives that died in Houston. Again, I don't have all the money in the world, so I have to grow my plants from cuttings. So I grew these from cuttings to replace, for a specific need, plants that died. Well, these actually are going to be in Austin. These are Mystic Spire Sage. These are going to stay in Austin. These guys are going to Houston, Mexican bush sage. A couple of Mexican bush sage holes in Houston. So, yeah. That's the backyard. It's kind of a red garden. Everything's red. Turks cap, tropical sage, big red sage, and whenever it blooms, the Texas Star Hibiscus. That room over there will be the man cave, to be continued. Say that next time. Now I'm in the way backyard here. Little gate there. And this is just a screen, visual screen. We've got the fence here. You'll notice I planted them way far away from the fence. That is because there is a utilities trench that runs here, and they have a right to dig up 10 feet. So I planted these 11 feet away. No, not 10 feet, 6 feet. Yeah, 6 feet, something like that. And so they're 10 feet away, something like that. That doesn't look 11 feet. I think that's 10 feet away. Regardless. So I wanted to leave room so that if this gets dug up, these weren't right here in the path and then I lose my screen. So these are cherry laurels. I've tried everything back here. I've tried so many different plants that people said were really hardy. And I'm trying to mix plants. On the other side of the fence, I've got photinias, which I didn't plant. They were here before I here. And then in front of them, I put mountain laurels and Eve's necklace. And so back here, I'm trying to mix it up as well. So I put some cherry laurels. First year I've had them. Obviously not a first year plant, probably second or third year. Here's an Eve's necklace. This Eve's necklace was really not performing in the front yard. I moved it and it's already doing better here. I mean, it put on more growth here than it ever did in the front yard. So, pretty excited. It's doing, I don't know, I guess maybe it got too much light up there. Who knows? This is a relative of the mountain laurel. And cherry laurels here. Cherry laurel. So, creating a fence. The cherry laurels will get big, and they'll get big fast, but this Eve necklace will get 30 feet tall. I mean, it's going to get taller than my house eventually. In this environment, it might only get 20 feet tall. You notice there's a hose there. These are first-year plants. It is August 23rd. I mean, this is the time of year where they're going to need some water. So I have these on a real slow drip. This is about 12 gallons per hour. Running out there, and I'll leave it here for a couple of hours, and then I won't water it for 2 weeks. See, armadillo did a little damage there, but I don't water them often, but when I water them deep, and I water them a long time, and it forces the roots deep, and they seem to be doing okay back here. So that's the changes that I made to the backyard.